Hi, welcome to my chaotic kitchen. Let's make blueberry muffins. We're gonna make blueberry muffins that are gluten-free and dairy-free. So what you're gonna need is almond milk, apple cider vinegar, 2 eggs, some salt, some olive oil, some cinnamon, baking soda, baking powder, almond flour, sugar, and blueberries. I use frozen blueberries. We're also going to be cooking from my book, except I am revising the recipe a little bit because we're not using every ingredient in here. And we're also swapping out some things. Oh, and you'll need tapioca flour before I forget. I knew I was forgetting something. So, grabbing that out here. Some tapioca flour. We need that as well. So, first things first is we are going to preheat our oven to 375, which I've already done. We're going to get out our muffin tin. So you have our muffin tin. We're going to line it. Now I only have leftover cupcake ones that are foil, so this is what I'm using. You can use whatever you got. And we're just gonna line our cups. And there is the perfect amount for 12. Wonderful. All right, so what we're gonna do is we are going to take a measuring cup. We are going to pour out, I'm gonna shake first, 3/4 cup of unsweetened almond milk. Cup, and then we are going to take our apple cider vinegar. We're going to shake her up because that likes to settle at the bottom. And then what we're going to do is put a tablespoon in to this, which I actually need because I only got out a teaspoon. There we go. It's very chaotic in here this morning. Oh, here we go. All right, here's our tablespoon. Well, half a tablespoon, that's fine because we're just gonna put 2. So, 1, 2. That is in. I'm gonna give it a stir. And we are gonna let that sit because we want it to kind of curdle. Now, we're gonna put our almond flour, our tapioca flour, our sugar, baking powder, baking soda, and salt and cinnamon in this bowl. So it calls for 1.5 cups of blanched almond flour. I'm actually going to use 2 cups because we're not using cornmeal. So on these 2 cups, so I've got my half cup out here. I keep my almond flour in the freezer. So that's 1 cup. We're gonna do 2 cups. So grab another. So we got 2 cups of almond flour. Get out all that air, put it back in our freezer because we're not gonna need it anymore. Let's grab our sugar. So 1/2 cup of sugar. I use cane sugar. Big old bag because I make all the time. So I use quite a bit of sugar between gluten-free, dairy-free baking, and regular baking. We're also going to grab our tapioca flour, and we are going to do 1/2 cup of this as well. And tapioca flour sticks to everything. This is the flour that if you bake homemade marshmallows, is the coating on the homemade marshmallow so it doesn't stick to anything. It's very thick, it's very absorbent, the way like coconut flour is absorbent. And then we're gonna take our baking soda. We're gonna get a teaspoon of baking soda. Mine is finally almost gone. Yeah, close enough. And then we're gonna take our baking powder. And with our baking powder, we're gonna do 2 teaspoons of this. So 1, 2. 2 teaspoons of baking powder. So we got baking soda, baking powder in there. Let's grab our cinnamon, where we need 3/4 of a teaspoon. I'm actually gonna put in a full teaspoon because we like cinnamon. Let's throw in our salt. Calls for some salt. How much salt does it call for? 1 1/4 teaspoons. I am just going to hold this until I see that it's good enough. That's probably fine. Wonderful. Okay, so we're letting this sit for 5 minutes here. It's already starting to curdle, which is great. You can see the separation, which is what we want. And then we are just gonna whisk this. So I'm gonna find my whisk, and I'm gonna whisk all these together so it's nice and smooth and there's no clumps. Apple cider vinegar is very strong smelling. You can smell it from here. I'm gonna actually move this. So see how it's like kind of yellowish? That's what we want. That way it kind of does what in essence buttermilk is. That's how you make buttermilk without the butter. So is vinegar and almond milk. So again, we are just bringing everything mixed together. And then we are going to add the egg and the oil once this is all nice and whisked together and there's no clumps. So 2 eggs. 1. 2. And our oil, it calls for coconut oil, melted coconut oil. I use olive oil in my baking. It's just something that I prefer. So this calls for 1/3 cup of melted coconut oil. So I'm actually going to use a 1/4 cup because you want to use less olive oil than you do coconut oil. And so I just eyeball it. And that's about a 1/4 cup right there. Just because I just count, kind of like when you are a bartender and you count like 1, 2, 3 for your pour. Same thing with oil. After a while you just learn and you don't need to measure things anymore. So we're going to mix that up. It's gonna stick currently because eventually we're gonna pour in that milk as well. Just like to break up the yolk a bit. All right, cool. So it's been about 5 minutes. So we are now gonna pour this curdled mixture into our batter, and we're just gonna mix it until it's nice and smooth. And it's gonna be very liquidy. And then from here, we're gonna fold in some blueberries. You can use fresh or frozen. I'm using frozen because that's what I have. It's not blueberry season. I'm actually gonna rinse off my 1/2 cup. And then we're gonna put some blueberries in. So I'm using about 1.5 cups of blueberries because I like blueberries. So it calls for a cup. I'm using 1.5 cups because that's just how it is. And I'm putting these back. I use wild blueberries. It's gonna dye my batter purple because that's what blueberries do. And then we are going to put them in the oven for 20 minutes. So I like to do 10 minutes, flip it, do 10 minutes, I'll take them out, we'll stick a toothpick in them. Obviously you're not gonna be here for that. Because I'm not gonna make you sit around for 40 minutes to make sure that these are done. So all you're gonna do is evenly disperse this between 12. I know it seems like there's a lot in there, but it's not gonna rise as much as you think it is. So between 12 of these, you're going to put this batter. It's going to fill them mostly to the top. If you happen to have extra, just fill up another one, but you shouldn't. We'll see if this is actually my first time making these. So we'll see. That is the oven. So we're gonna divide these, we're gonna stick them in the oven, and that's how you make some gluten-free, dairy-free blueberry muffins.